And I guess the next questions that we get a lot of time is related to work visas, especially H-1B is the most common that our student athletes try to obtain. And my questions are related to the process. So in this case as well, how does the process work? How likely is a company to actually sponsor a visa, and then what are the chances to obtain this visa, even if a company decides to sponsor it? You know, if there's another process that allows you to get it or not get it, and if there should be any type of external help, it's something that the company takes care of, or something that you should go with someone like Ellis Porter, to handle things. How does it work?
Yeah, I'm happy to field this one. So the H-1B program itself, it's a program that allows employers to hire individuals, beneficiaries in a specialty occupation. And that's a position that requires a bachelor's degree or its equivalent to perform the job itself. So typically, and historically, what would happen is employers would find the individuals they wanted to hire in a H-1B visa. They would then file a H-1B petition on their behalf on April 1st of that fiscal year, and then a random lottery would be conducted. There's 85,000 H-1B visas available each year, 65 under what's called the regular cap, and then an additional 20,000 for those who possess a US master's degree or higher. This year was the first year that USCIS have changed that. And so instead of having all of the applicants apply on April 1st, they introduced a pre-registration system, which we would anticipate is going to be carrying on for the years coming as well. So the pre-registration system, essentially, you file a very short form for each individual that, as an employer, you wanted to hire under the H-1B program, which gives some very basic information. This year, the pre-registration was open from March 1st to March 20th. You would file your forms during that period of time, and then USCIS would collate all of that information, and they would randomly select the 85,000 cases that they were going to invite to file the full H-1B petition. And the USCIS allowed those petitions to be filed on April 1st of this year. In terms of the numbers, we have seen some very high numbers, which has resulted in lottery over the previous years. This year, there was close to 275,000 applications that were submitted. And remember, there's two caps. There's the regular cap and the master's cap. And so if you break down the numbers, which USCIS did, there was about 31% selection rate in the regular cap and about 46% in the master's cap for this year. And every firm will vary. So if individuals have heard different people got different results, they vary because it's a random lottery. Mark, just you were on the front line this year in the US with the H-1B. First of all, I mean, how was the pre-registration process? And then how, as a firm, did we see those numbers come out?
Yeah, the pre-registration process went pretty smoothly. We had some concerns that the online system that we were going to have to use to register might not be up and ready to go when it was promised to be, just based on some past technology snafus that the Immigration Service has had. But I'll say it actually worked pretty smoothly this year. We were able to get all the registrations in without too much hassle. And then, the day we were supposed to find out about the selections, we found out that day. And in our office, we had across the board about a 45% selection rate, which is much higher than we thought. Because we were speculating that because we were going from a procedure before where, if you were an employer and you had 10 employees that you wanted to get H-1B, you were hoping to get H-1B visas for, you would have to, hire an attorney to prepare and file all 10 of those applications and paying the attorney fees for those applications, and then you would submit them, and then the government would run their random selection process, and then maybe they'd say, okay, you had 4 of yours were selected and the other 6 were rejected. Well, you'd get your government filing fees back for those 6 applications, but you wouldn't get your attorney fees back. So it was an expensive proposition for employers. under this pre-registration process, it's much more advantageous for employers because the fee to register your intent to file an H-1B was only $10. And so, and we offered a service where we did the registrations for free for our employers. And so we thought that great reduction in the cost of putting numbers into the pool, that we would see the numbers skyrocket and that the selections rate would go down. But that didn't happen. I mean, I think the volume of filings was about the same as it's been in past years, and our selection rates at our firm, around 45%, were similar to what we've seen before. So I think for our clients, we were pretty pleased with the results.
Okay.
So, and Karate, you had asked about whether a student can file the H-1B on their own or whether they should use attorneys. Just to jump back to that, typically the H-1B process is an employer-driven process, and so normally what would happen is the employer, if they wanted to retain an individual on a H-1B, they would take the steps to petition the employee themselves, and the employer has to actually file with the USCIS. They have to be the petitioner signing the H-1B itself. And in most cases, employers will either be utilizing a immigration attorney that they've used to help file them, or some employers will actually have their own in-house team that does handle that. Now, what we see most of the time is that working with an immigration attorney to help prepare and strategize a H-1B is most advantageous for a variety of different reasons. And it isn't necessary for employees to have their own attorney during that process. But if one of the students does have an employer that may be new to this process, that's certainly something that we at Ellis Porter enjoy doing and would help kind of have a call to guide the employers through the process, through the steps, the timelines, and really help them navigate that.
Okay. Perfect.
One thing I wanted to add too, with regard to this H-1B quota that our vendor talked about in this H-1B lottery process, that there are certain employers actually that are exempted from that. They're called H-1B cap exempt employers. And so some of your student athletes, maybe if they're going to be getting a job at a university or at another nonprofit institution that's affiliated with a university or a research institution, those types of employers are considered exempt from the cap, and that means that they can file for an H-1B at any time of the year. They don't have to do it only during this kind of April 1st timeframe, and also there's no limitation on how many they can do. So again, most private employers are subject to that cap, and so most of your student athletes are probably would be looking at employment with cap subject employers, but there may be some who are going to work with a cap exempt employer, and if that's the case, there's a lot more flexibility as to when and a lot more higher probability that they'll actually get the H-1B visa. Okay,
but is the selection process random, or is it also based on how well you file, or what job you're gonna do, or what company is gonna file it, or is the process to obtain it, the H-1B, is it completely random?
It's completely random, and
okay.
We've made the argument that that's strategically, maybe that's not the smartest way to handle it. As a country, maybe we could kind of prioritize and say there are certain occupations and certain area that have more strategic value to the country, but they haven't done that. It is purely random.